This is check 2, identifying reciprocal function transformations. First you start out with two equations, y equal 1 over x and y equals negative 4 over x. The first thing you do is graph the function on your calculator, which you do y equals, and then in your y equals 1, type 1 over x, and in your y2, do y equals negative 4 over x. And then you do graph, and then it graphs you on the calculator. And then over here on your graph, it'll turn out something like this, where this is your 1. Once you have your equations graphed, now you compare them. The first thing you do is compare whether they're closer or far away to the origin, which y equals 1x is closer to the origin than y equals negative 4x. And after you decide which one is closer or far away to the origin, before that you try to figure out what type of factor they're stretched by. And usually you can tell by that by the number on top, which the number over x is 1, and the number on this equation, y equals x over, y equals negative 4 over x, 1 and negative 4 are both on top. So these are what the graphs are stretched by. So one is stretched by a factor of 1, and the other one is stretched by a factor of negative 4. And before that, you also had y equals 1 over x is closer to the origin, while y equals negative 4 over x is further from the origin. The next thing to do is to figure out your vertical and horizontal asymptotes, which, as you can see here, your vertical asymptote is your y-axis, and your horizontal asymptote is the x-axis, because you can see as the graph, it kind of bends with it, like it doesn't cross that line, it just bends with the y and the y-axis and the x-axis. So both your asymptotes equal to x is your horizontal asymptote, and y-axis is your vertical asymptote for both y equals 1 over x and y equals negative 4 over x. The next thing to do is to see which quadrants your lines are. And usually, if there's a positive number on top, it'll usually be in quadrants 1 and 3, as you can see in y equals 1 over x. And the other thing is, you can see that if it's negative, it'll be in quadrant 2 and 4, which you can see right here, y equals negative 4x. So y equal 1 over x is in quadrants 1 and 3, and y equal negative 4 over x is in quadrants 2 and 4. And if you're confused by quadrants, if you have trouble figuring out quadrants, then to help you right here, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is how the order in which quadrants work. So right here, this would be quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. If that helps you figure out where the quadrants are. And what you'll end up is a comparison between the two equations of y equals 1 over x and y equals negative 4x. And that's how you identify reciprocal function transformations.